Hello, welcome to Happy World TV's interview program. Today I invited Inspector Vaughn Graham. Hello, Vaughn.
Hello, and thank you for having me on the program.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
I'd like to know your role in police.
Tony, I'm the Family Harm Director for Auckland City District.
Yeah.
And that means that I'm the Senior Police Officer responsible for the family harm response in Auckland City District. And that's a very important and exciting role and a challenging role.
Yeah.
I have responsibility for about 35 police officers that work in a dedicated family harm team. And I also work with a lot of other agencies that are co-located with us at Balmoral, which is in Auckland.
What do you mean family harm? What's the difference between domestic violence or family harm?
Yeah, Tony, that's a really good question, and it's confusing for people sometimes.
Yeah.
But family harm includes relationships that are primarily family related.
Yeah.
So partners, wives, husbands, children, relatives. Anyone that's in a blood, sex or care relationship is in what we police now deem family harm. And you raise the issue of what's the difference between domestic violence and family harm. There is not a lot of difference, although family harm recognises that the drivers and things that contribute to family harm episodes include the wider dynamics of mental illness, poverty, unemployment, and a whole lot of other social issues. So we like to think of it as wider harm than just violence, because it's not always violence, but it can be psychological and other forms of violence as well.
It means domestic violence is a very small part of family harm.
We've widened our view, I suppose is the best way to explain it, that we know that there's other social issues that drive it and contribute to it, so it's wider than just violence.
Elder abuse or children abuse, even animal abuse is included in family harm.
It's recognised that all those things can contribute to family harm, you're right.
Your job is very busy job.
We quite often see a reduction in family harm reporting after Christmas, New Year and into early January. This year for Auckland City we've seen a constant increase, so about 15% more than what we've seen. So we're coming into a very busy time of year traditionally on the back of what has been a very busy year anyway. So it's definitely a time of year for not just police but for agencies to be incredibly busy.
I've heard that there are more issues of family harm in the holiday seasons. Is it true?
I suppose the start point for me is to be clear that family harm is never acceptable any time of the year. But what we do find is the pressures of Christmas in particular and the end of the year, we do see an increase in reporting, it's fair to say. I think it's a time of year which creates a lot of pressure on families and individuals, a lot of expectations, a lot of financial pressure. So we do see an increase in reporting, you're right.
It means there were many issues of family harm in COVID-19 level 2 or 3 period of time.
We did. It was a very unique period of time where people were forced to stay together, and we know that a lot of families, there are unfortunately families that live in violence. So when they are basically forced to stay together, we definitely saw some increase in some serious reports of abuse. And that's something that we had to deal with, and it was new to us as an organisation. But fortunately, police worked through that, maintained our resourcing, and we made sure that our partner agencies were still working as well, which was really important.
Poor health or alcohol, drug abuse is included in family harm?
Definitely. We see we've got to be very careful here, and we don't want to blame alcohol or drug abuse as a cause. It's usually not the cause, but it's definitely a contributing factor. And we know that people that have drug addiction or drug abuse, whether it's as a victim or an offender or a member of the family, they're more vulnerable often. So that's very much a factor that we're aware of and we see in our cases all the time.
How can people report family harm to police? Just dial 111?
I think it's a little bit more dynamic than that now. It used to be 111, but what we'd say as police and as organisations that work in terms of reducing or preventing family harm is we'd like people to report earlier than wait for an episode to play out.
Yeah.
We'd actually like people to come and get help before it comes to that, and we realise that there's always a place to ring 111 for an emergency, and that's really, really important that people do that. But any police station is open and available all the time to offer information and advice. We have dedicated family harm teams that run right around the country, from the North Island to the south, and they are available and work with partners to offer advice. There's a lot of help available, whether it's through family court, whether it's through phone lines, people ringing for help. We'd much rather than people wait for a critical incident and have to call us, that they engage us early. And we've got a lot of great agencies out there that are available to help people. And there's no shame in that. Family harm occurs right across all races, all religions, all social sectors, from professional people right down to workers. There's no shame. The shame is that people don't get help early enough to do something about it.
But Asian people traditionally don't like call police.
No, and I think, it's fair to say that we've seen that in our cases as well. And sometimes the police are seen as different things to Asian people, especially migrants that have come to New Zealand. But it's my plea that people do trust us. We are different. We pride ourselves on being a great organisation and being available to help people. But we do understand that shame side of things. That's really, really important to understand. It's probably important to realise that runs through all cultures, including Māori, when we talk about shame and mai. But we're here to help, and we'd much rather get involved early and try and help people rather than get there late and have to arrest someone and put them before court.
If I know my neighbour or my friends has become a victim of family harm, how can I report to police without knowing them?
There's a couple of options. First thing I'd say is the prevalence is a really important question. It's very, very likely that you're going to know someone that is being exposed to family harm, whether it's a child or a neighbour or a family member. It's really, really important that we try and break down or get away from the isolation that person feels. It's a terrible, isolating feeling that person's subjected to. So the more people that can get on board to help that person, the better for the person. There are ways to report. First and foremost, if it's safe, it's really nice to be able to approach that person that's in need and offer help if you can, if it's safe to do so. If it's not safe to do so, obviously you can ring the police. If it's something that's happening right now and it's immediate, then I'd say ring 111. If it's not happening now but you're aware of it, there's ways to report anonymously. You can use the Crime Stoppers reporting line. That's an anonymous way to report. That information will come to us and we'll get to be able to approach those people and try and do that in a meaningful way that helps them. I'd really encourage people, if they are aware that something's happening, to actually try and do something about it in a safe way.
Actually, the advice or just the advice from the police is effective for the victims of family harm?
What's really important is that we're consistent in our messaging to victims, in offering support, and doing what we say we're going to do is really important. So we have a number of agencies that do a fantastic job. Police are not the experts in dealing with victims. It's very much another agency's role, and they are the experts. They have social workers, counsellors, specialist people. So we make sure that police look after the safety side of things, but very much the counselling and the ongoing work goes to the experts that need to do it. And we find that when that's done in a joined up, meaningful way, it does make a difference.
Any more messages you want to say to the people during the holiday seasons?
I'd really like to echo the words of the Prime Minister through this year, and we need to be kind to each other. We especially need to be kind to our family members and people that we love all the time, not just some of the time. And my big thing is, if you need help, then there's no shame in that. You just need to come and find that help. It's really, really important. And the more that we get used to doing that, the more that will have a positive impact on reducing family harm.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I've talked to the Inspector Vaughn Graham. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Happy New Year!